Before I joined the academy, I worked in manufacturing and I was a manager there. I grew up in Moorhead, Minnesota, went to high school there, and then I went to NDSU where I got my bachelor's. I got my bachelor's in business administration.
Before the academy, I worked in corrections for 2 years, and I also worked for juvenile drug court, and I interned for a couple police departments throughout college. I grew up in Sartell, Minnesota. It's a suburb of St. Cloud. So while in high school, I attended classes at St. Cloud Technical and Community College, and then transferred to the University of North Dakota to finish my bachelor's degree in criminal justice.
I grew up in Fargo, Minnesota. Before I joined the academy, I worked in a warehouse. I graduated high school. I did PSCO through M-State in Fergus Falls, Minnesota, and then I got a career transition degree from Alexandria Technical College and got a bachelor's from American Public University.
Before the academy, I played college football, and I was also working for a sheriff's office. I'm from Chicago, Illinois originally. I grew up wanting to be a police officer. I have family members that was in law enforcement. My uncle was a current Chicago police officer, and my granddad was a Chicago detective.
Before I came to the Fargo Police Academy, I was working as a delivery driver. I grew up in a suburb of Chicago called Riverside, Illinois. I've wanted to be a police officer ever since I was a little kid.
My career before joining the academy was actually landscaping. And landscaping goes not just grass. We built decks and synthetic grass, and built fences, you name it. For the younger years of my life, I grew up in Jamaica, and then for the older part of my life, I grew up in Detroit Lakes, Minnesota.
So before joining the police academy, I was actually in school. I went to Minot State University. I got my bachelor's in criminal justice there, and then I went and got my master's degree in sports management. So I graduated in May, right before our academy started in June. I grew up in Rapid City, South Dakota for most of my life. I was born in California, moved to Washington, and then in about 5th grade, I've been in South Dakota ever since.
Before the academy, I was working in retail while I attended school over in Moorhead. I went to the M-State Tech School. I grew up in Gonvick, Minnesota, small little town about 40 minutes northwest of Bemidji.
Before I joined the academy, I was kind of part of the construction realm, but not the actual building. I did more of the operating, and I focused more on the construction of new homes. I grew up right across the river. I lived in Dilworth, Minnesota. After a deployment, I finally was able to buy my own home, and so I currently live in Moorhead, Minnesota, so not too far.
I feel like my confidence has definitely increased a lot. I was kind of shy before, but now I'm growing out of that, and now I feel like I'm a very good leader.
I think the thing that I've grown in the most at the academy is the physical aspect of it. In high school, I did swimming and a bunch of that stuff, and then obviously getting to college, you're not working out as much. Getting into the academy and really working on that physical fitness has been one of my favorite parts. Just doing PT every day, doing all the physical training has just been really fun and really brings us closer together as a class too.
It's been really cool. It's definitely a special experience to be able to have the academy in the place where you're going to be working after, and I think it's going to help me a lot as I go forward in my career. You get to see all the different people from officers to civilian positions around the department that you'll be working with for years to come, be it evidence or records or whoever.
Working with TDU, these are people that's teaching us how the department run things. It's not just, you go over to wherever you go for the academy and then you come here and you have to learn what it's like to be a cop here in Fargo. You're actually learning from cops in Fargo how to be a cop in Fargo. You're walking through the halls and seeing cops, in Fargo.
One thing I didn't expect so much, and it was really pleasant surprise was how much the instructors care and just their knowledge. Like, they're not there just to have you check a paper that, oh yeah, we did this training, but they actually care that you understand how to do it, that you're doing it correctly, that they want you to succeed and do well. They're not there to just check boxes.
As it regards to the TDU officers themselves, the training officers, they have experience on the street, and it helps because there's different personas. They always tell us this is not the way, this is a way, and that's engraved. Everybody has their own different method. One instructor way might not work for you, but the other one might stick out. So I think that's very beneficial. They coming in with the necessary experience. We have officers, we got sergeants, we got people on SWAT. So the diversity that's in TDU is really beneficial, and the program being here at the headquarters definitely helps.
I think the biggest surprise for me was just kind of the difficulty of it all, but in a good way. It's been very challenging, but also rewarding. Being in college and being an athlete in the past, I kind of thought getting into this that I've already done homework, I've already done schoolwork, and then actually learning it and learning all different new stuff that I'm not familiar with. It was definitely a challenge, but I've learned so much more from that.
My favorite day would have to be probably the worst day at the same time, with OC spray.
Least favorite was pepper spray.
I think my worst day, probably getting OC spray.
The biggest surprise was probably getting tased. I did not think it would hurt that bad, or the 5 seconds it lasts. It feels like an eternity when you're getting tased.
My heart had to be, I was so scared I was gonna have a heart attack when I did it, because my heart was just going a million miles a minute as I was going up there. And then, of course, with mine, like I couldn't have been any more terrified. They go taser, 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 deploy, 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 press the button, and it doesn't go off. They were like, this has never happened before. I was like, of course it has to happen for me.
When we were done with it, we could all, as a class, and instructors joke around about it, say we finally did it, checked it off the list, one of the big major things we had to check off, and just kind of put it in the past and be able to look at it and laugh, but not ever want to do that again. So,
going through all the scenario days, it certainly shows exactly where you struggle and exactly where you need to learn. And I mean, for me personally, I've seen it where in the moment, I'm kind of second guessing my options or what I should be doing. But the moment I take a breath and kind of read the room and read the situation, that's kind of where everything comes back into play. And the cadre here for the academy has done a great job at making sure that we know the material before going into it, because these scenarios will translate onto the street once we get out there.
So I think it really helped having a big classroom portion in the beginning of the academy where we really honed in on the laws and those more educational side of it. And then moving into scenarios, obviously you're nervous, you're gonna forget it all, and it really just shows that the training works because you just kind of do what you're supposed to do, and you don't really have to think about it because we spent so much time in the classroom, so it's helped a lot.
It's very evident that the training officers care about our wellness and our well-being, as well as the actual training that we're going to do. I think going through this and having these specific trainers that have such an emphasis on our well-being and our training, that we're going to be so prepared for when we get into the real thing. And we're also going to know that we're going to have those same officers and other officers in the department that are still going to be with us every day moving forward.
I remember Officer Novacek saying the first day of the academy, we were all sitting there awkward, quiet, not really talking to anyone. And he said to embrace it because by the end of the first week or week 2, you guys are all going to be best friends. And honestly, I thought he was lying, just saying that just because he's one of the instructors. But by probably the end of the second week, I could say like all the people in the class at the time were like truly my best friends. And then now coming to the end of the academy, like I would honestly do anything for those guys. I know I could reach out to them any time of the day and they'd be there for me and I would be there for them. So this has been truly, the academy's been a fun time growing in myself and growing with friendships that honestly didn't think I'd make.
The relationships I've built in this class has honestly been lifelong. I respect each of the individuals who I show up every morning with and go through classroom, go through scenarios. It sounds a little corny, but honestly, the people who I kind of work with are probably going to be my best friends. Those are the people who I enjoy being with. I love coming to work with them and kind of getting their side of things, especially in scenarios. It goes a long ways because sometimes maybe you're not always right. And being able to take that critique from others and listen to others' ideas is what just grows you as a person.
What I'm looking forward to the most, I think, is just being able to put everything I've learned into practice and finally being able to use those skills and being able to do what I want to do.
I'm really blessed and super fortunate to have this job and be in the position that I'm in. And I just want to say thank you for TDU and Fargo Police Department.